But and as soon as he starts perceiving, particularly at the ages between of 12 and 19, they are a dangerous period for female form. And any small thing, it will just be like a spilled milk. You agree with me that if a milk is spilled, you can never get it back. And if a girl child is abused sexually, it will only take the grace of God for her to retrace her steps. I would have brought a full note, but because of the urgency of the program, I just highlighted. And so we're going to be talking about it very, very briefly. In order to educate your child on sex and sexuality, you need to be as open and as honest as possible. Tell them what they need to know according to their level of understanding. Permit them to ask questions and allow them to feel comfortable discussing this topic with you whenever they want to. And so what is sex? Sex is the characteristic that distinguishes every organism into two major categories, male and female. It can also be defined as activities associated with sexual intercourse. And what is sexuality? Sexuality refers to total expression of who you are as a human being. That is to say, you are either a male or a female. Our sexuality begins at birth and ends at death. Everyone is a sexual being. As a parent or guardian, in order to effectively educate your child about sex and sexuality, you should be doing the following. Ask them what they know about sex. You don't underestimate the children. Like I earlier said, they are aware of what is happening in the world through the internet. You just have an open discussion with them. Frank and open discussion, conversations with them. You will be surprised if you come down to their level, you will hear what they will tell you. Sex education of the girl child at home should not be left only to one of the parents. It should be the role of both parents. I remember when I had my little daughter, I didn't want to discuss sex to her. When I saw her turning into a lady, I shifted responsibility of discussing anything female folk to my wife. But as time came on, I discovered that I needed to educate her on the hazards, danger of premarital sex. You should know when and where to stop, even when you are discussing about sex and sexuality and sex education to the children. And it is never a one-off conversation. That is to say, as I earlier said, you cannot just discuss it once and for all. It is supposed to be a routine. It is supposed to be a routine. So that they will know that it is not good for them to start having sex and sexual intercourse before marriage, because there are hazards. You know that we have STIs and STDs. And once a small girl is is infected with STI or STD, there are many implications. And one of such implications is that stigma will follow. I know stigmatization is a very bad thing. When HIV first came, any person that had HIV, people were running away from that person. And stigma is not a good thing. So the female child should be educated every time about it. Now, what about the personal hygiene of a female? Feminine hygiene is a necessity to maintain overall health. Now we have some tips where we will see about the need for female hygiene. Hygiene is the act of keeping your body very healthy through personal sanitation or personal health practice. For a girl that is growing up, she will need to have regular bathing. An upcoming young lady must not be dirty. So it's the role of the parents to educate her on how to bath. She must always bath. In fact, if possible, 2 times. Her body must always be clean. She must wipe her body up correctly. I'm not saying that she should go and improve upon her color. That's what I mean. I mean that she should keep herself very, very presentable. Girls are flowers and they need to look beautiful. But then, it is not to decolor yourself. At the period of menstruation, that's the period where girls need to take care of themselves. They have to clean themselves, change their sanitary pads, always, in order to prevent them from, having bad odor, particularly if they are entering into the midst of people. Most women make mistakes. They use chemicals to wash their private parts. It is not always very convenient because some of those chemicals can kill, those things that will prevent infection. If you must wash, just use soap, ordinary soap, to wash your body. We have had a lecture from one gynecologist, and he frowned at women using artificial chemicals, washing their vaginas. It is wrong. Just use ordinary soap. And you have to wash with natural ingredients. Very simple detergent. So that you don't get problem in your private parts. Why is it so? We have 3 types of muscles in the body. We have the skeletal, we have the smooth, and we have the cardiac muscles. Those are the major muscles that make up the human body. And so, the muscles in the private part are smooth muscles. So by the time that you tamper with it so much, it will get lacerated at the point. So you have to handle it with care. You have to choose the right clothes to wear, particularly during menstruation. Most girls, when they are menstruating, they tighten themselves with tight jeans. It is not really very encouraging. You are supposed to wear very loose clothes. Wear loose clothes so that you have air penetrating wherever. You have to be careful when using public conveniences. Public places. They go and then Shigako in. It is not very encouraging. Why? Because your natural physiology is different from that of men. And in most cases, women squat down to urinate. And by the time that you urinate in public place like that, anyhow, it can bring problem to you, and you may get infected with STDs, or what they call popularly as toilet infection. So you have to be very, very careful where to use your convenience. Women should also go on regular checkups. As a woman, you have to go on checkup. If not, by the time that you are infected, it may even affect your reproduction. So please, always go for checkups. And then you should also vaccinate yourself against diseases like is it cirrhosis? This disease. Yes, that one that affects the liver. Cirrhosis. Yeah. No, that one that is sexually transmitted. You have to you have to get vaccination against it. I think I got it sometimes. It is always 2 years. What is that? Gonorrhea. No, not gonorrhea. Syphilis. Hepatitis. Thank you very much. Yes, hepatitis. You vaccinate yourself against hepatitis. It is a sexually transmitted disease too. Wow. So you have to be very careful. These ones are summarily some of the things that we would love to look at on Girl Child concerning sex and sexuality and sex education. Without wasting time, we'll go into drug dependence and abuse. Why I said I have interest in it is because I grew up in Nigeria, and my growth was very, very turbulent. I drank alcohol here, everybody knew. From morning, we will go for morning beats, they call it morning beats. We used to drink at the Babatanko Louis house, very early. As early as 6 a.m. we are there. And I will not come back home until when it is around 10 to 11 p.m. Until all Bukutu is finished in town. Now, I want to concentrate more on alcohol because our youths are drawn into it. Alcohol is a depressant. And in this world that we are in now, it will not be advisable for our youth, who are our engine, to be drunk and go and sleep deeply. Now, what is drug abuse or alcohol abuse? Anything that you take that is not a prescription, particularly medicine, you begin to take it, you begin to take it, you begin to take it without any prescription, you are abusing it. Medicines are supposed to be prescribed. We have drugs in different types. We have stimulants, we have barbiturates, we have hallucinogens. Those ones are kinds of drugs that when you take, it makes you feel okay. It makes you feel high. And by the time that you continue, if you don't take time, it becomes a habit. And by the time that it becomes a habit, you begin to abuse it. Now, abuse precedes dependence. What do I mean? If you begin to abuse something, you begin to abuse, like me, I'm taking really extra diclofenac for my arthritis. Now, I am conscious of the fact that if I begin to take it more than what is expected, I will begin to abuse it. So the abuse is taking that substance, to make you come back to your normal sense, to your normal self. As soon as it expires, you begin to look for it. It becomes an abuse. Now, when you go into it, it will lead you into dependence. And if you depend on drugs, it means that it has become a diseased condition. If you take alcohol for the first time, it stimulates. But by the time that you continue taking, you will experience what we call illusion. You will not see the right thing, something that is far, a bit close, you will think that is far. And by the time that you enter illusion, the next thing is that you are going into blackout. If you take alcohol and you reach the level of blackout, it is that time that you say, that is the stage of blackout of alcohol. And by the time that you are at blackout, you will not know when you came back home. So it is only God that brought you back home. And I remember when we were growing up, we used to see that even the person that drinks alcohol, is better than a madman, something like that. I forgot. But it was just a way of gingering us so that we would begin to continue to drink. Now, when you depend on alcohol, it has become a disease condition where you cannot do without it. You cannot do without it. Even the drug. I have a friend that depended on one drug like that. He was injecting himself on the hand. And he reached a level where there was no withdrawal again. He couldn't withdraw. So anytime the thing disappears in his body, he will just run to the chemist, collect it, and come and inject himself. So drug and alcohol are counterproductive, particularly on the youth. If you are a youth and you give yourself to alcoholism or alcohol or drug, you have altered, you have mortgaged your destiny, you have mortgaged your future. Youth must desist from drugs and alcohol. We must desist. I don't always encourage that we say that if you must, then you do it small. I always suggest that abstinence is the best thing. Some of us continue drinking. And by the time that you enter, going out is the most difficult thing. Going out of taking alcohol is very difficult. And if you get into that position, you know that your production, your productivity is no more there. I am happy that the youths of Mangun are projecting themselves.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
That they are productive.
Amen.
I know that the future of Mangun is already great.
Amen.
Our Father has already blessed us.
Amen.
The future of Mangun is blessed.
Amen.
Now, what are some of those factors that can affect addiction? You know, one of such factors is family history. You know, drug addiction and alcohol addiction is not common in some families. And likely it involves an increased risk based on genes. Yes. If I'm a parent and I take alcohol and I come home, how do you expect me to stop my child when I see him? While I'm coming home drunk, then I say, well, this is Ashwamus. Do you think it will have any effect?
No.
It will not have any effect. Because the parent is doing it. You are a model to your child. Charity begins at home. Most children that drink alcohol inherit from their parents. Their parents will come and then, they are drunk. You don't have any excuse to tell your child not to drink. But in some rare cases, some develop as a result of what? Peer pressure. Okay. Peer pressure. When you go to school, you meet your friends, you get to demonstrate what they do. And it affects. Also, some of you start taking drugs and alcohol on a social basis. You want to come to a social occasion, so you want to feel high, you want to come and feel free and say whatever you want to say. So, these are some of the factors that affect addiction of alcohol consumption and drugs. Few minutes left. So we'll look at the impact of entrepreneurship are divided into 4 categories. But the main one that we know is these ones that are involved in what we call small and medium entrepreneur. Most of our people here are involved in small and medium enterprises. None of us has got, most of us don't have employers under us or employees. It is advisable and it is encouraging that our youth should practice entrepreneurship. You start practicing business, learn to be self-employed. The white-collar job is fast eroding. Computers are taking over white-collar jobs. Businesses and trades or artisans are the popular things. I'm not discouraging education. Education is very, very important. But handwork and entrepreneur they are key. In this dispensation, where jobs cannot circulate, in fact, entrepreneurship can help. You work and you wait for 30 days to collect pay. The person that is into entrepreneurship, before those 30 days, if he is successful or she is successful, you discover that he's getting more than your salaries. So our youths, I want to congratulate you. And I want to advise you that as you grow up, look inwards and try to be innovative. Try to do something that will, bring food on your table. Even if it means doing like small and medium entrepreneurship. On my way coming, the young man that is the second MC, we entered the same vehicle, and he was giving me a story. That story was very, very captivating. He told me he was into MC, he was into music, and he's also into, what is the other one? Word of the living.
Spoken word.
Spoken word. These are creativities. These are innovations. These are things that will bring food on your table. Nobody should look at any kind of business like an inferiority. Don't be ashamed of whatever you are doing. In those days, during our time, young ladies will not go and strike or say, they will say, But now, we are living in a competitive world where no business is demeaning. Everybody should be doing one thing or the other. Finally, when I was growing up, I went to town. I was in primary school. And I went to this house up. The lady was frying fish. And then she will give you to go and sell for her. After when you come back, she will give you what we call the ladder. So I collected the fish from that house lady in Ampang West. I took it outside. I was selling it. Moving around the street, selling the thing. Along the line, my father saw me. Then he was a pastor. He was so ashamed that how can his own son be carrying fish and going to sell? When I returned home, my father asked me, "What do you lack? That you want to make me? You want to give me shame by going to sell?" And from that time up to now, I don't know what business is, because he killed my morale of business. But today I have asked my children, go into small and medium enterprise, because the jobs are not available. Mango youths, go into small and medium enterprise. When the opportunity comes for you to get job, it is going to be an added advantage. Gentlemen and ladies, I congratulate Mango youths.
Amen.
Thank you very much.